Hey, it's Mary and I'm back today with a new layout. I'm going to be focusing on the Spiegel Mom Scraps theme for the month of May, which is April Showers Brings Sequin Flowers. I'm going to be punching some scraps. Now these are scraps that I have held on to that I've used throughout this year from my Hip Kit Club subscription. And I'm not going to show you all of the punches, but I will show you this punch. This paper that I'm using here is part of the Amy Tan new collection, and I am obsessed with this sketchy polka dot. So I'm going to be punching out several different shapes for flowers. I'm going to be doing some DIY embellishments. So I'm just taking these little hydrangeas that I had punched out with the Martha Stewart hydrangea punch, and I'm layering them up, just double layered. And that gives it extra dimension, and I'll end up kind of folding them up to give them even more dimension on the page. And I'm just making sure that I don't have like two tight patterns together and that I'm kind of spreading out the colors. So now I'm moving on to the next flower, and this is a Fisker's teardrop or raindrop punch that I had used, and I'm just cutting that in half. And then I'll add that half onto a hole and make these into tulips. Now, these were my absolute favorite flowers that I made. I wish that I would have made more. And seriously, I punched out so many flowers. It was ridiculous. But I ended up using all of the bigger flowers that I'll be showing you in here in just a second, in all of the tulips and some of the smaller hydrangeas. But I really wanted this to look like a kind of a garden, because these are pictures of my daughter who is playing in the yard, and you can kind of see her popping in over on the left. Now when you see me, I was wondering about this. When you see me making things and then you see my daughter's hands pop in, and it looks like on the video that I'm not acknowledging her at all, I am. I'm talking to her. I don't know. I just multitask, but I'm like, I wonder if anybody thinks that I'm ignoring my daughter as she's popping in. I really don't mind scrapping with my kids around. I think this is a part of my gift that I get to give to them is the creativity that I've been gifted with. And so, you know, if she's going to play with my punches and my scrap drawer, I have at it, girl. And she's always creating something. And my son as well. They're both very creative kiddos. So this little flower that I'm putting together again is with the teardrops. And then I have this other tiny punch, two other tiny punches from Daiso. And I just used one of those flowers to double it up in the middle, the tiny flowers, and it makes it look like the stem or the center of the flower. So here I'm showing you all of the little flowers that I made and the tulips. And then I have a bunch of the little teeny tiny Daiso punched flowers as well. And I really loved those to scatter around the page. Yeah, they're so cute. Now, if I had to do it again, I think what I would have done differently would be to keep all of the same colors together and not divide them up, because I think that made it a little bit more busy for me. But I do like how it ended up in the end. So what I really wanted to focus on here was the fact that this was kind of the first signs of spring. And the reason why I chose that brown paper in the background, it has that same color of purple, and it also has the brown kind of leafy floral design, and it went really well with the time of year. It wasn't winter anymore, and it wasn't quite spring, but spring was starting to pop up. And because we were outside playing in the yard, and you know, Abby's watering flowers, that's what the pictures are of her with her little green watering can. I just thought it went really well with the theme. I had thought about doing white, but then the white would blend in with the white floral pieces that I had put together, and this just really made it pop in its own unique way. I wasn't too thrilled at the beginning, but after I've sat back and looked at this layout, I just thought that it's really unique, and I like unique. So here I'm just taking a piece of stiff fabric. It's kind of like the fabric that you would have on like a window shade, a stiffer window shade. And I have a big bolt of it, and I couldn't tell you where to get it from. But this just gives you another idea of a layering piece. If you have any of that sheer fabric around, or maybe you just go buy a little bit of it at Joann's, it is a really cool texture to stick behind photos. And I really like to use it instead of like tissue paper or a glassine bag when I want to add a little bit of extra movement behind my pictures, but I don't want it to distract from the layout, if that makes any sense. So that's what I'm kind of doing here. And so now you're going to start to see me place down all of these little embellishments that I made, and I'm kind of clustering them together in groups. It ends up looking pretty busy in the end, but because of the clusters, I feel like you can actually make out what the embellishments are instead of it just looking like a hodgepodge of scrap paper in different punched shapes. I really wanted to avoid that. And it's really fun because the watering can has water in it in the pictures, and you can see that the water is coming out. And so it really looks like Abby's watering this new garden and the flowers that are popping up. And in her hand is a little Johnny Jump Up, which was like the very first flower in our yard. So it was just a really fun memory to scrapbook about. So now that I've kind of decided on where I want everything to be, I'm going to go ahead and glue everything down. And like I said, I'm just kind of clustering it up together so that they look like they belong together instead of it just being spread apart. And then I'll go in and get these tiny little punches of flowers that I punched out and fill in some of the gaps. And I've squeezed up some of the flowers after I punched them out to give them a really nice dimension. So I'm just kind of spreading out these little teeny tiny flowers and making them look as if they're floating off of the page. And then I'll move up to the top, and here you can kind of see me scrunching up those hydrangea flowers, and I just love the way that that looked. And at this point in my layout, I was kind of freaking out about the fact that it just looked like a bunch of pieces of paper randomly put. I couldn't really tell where one flower began and the other one ended. But the more that I looked at it, I think it was just because I had been messing with these DIY embellishments all day. Well, like in between, playing and doing chores and folding laundry and all of that, I was just randomly punching paper. But when I brought the sequins out, and I'm using the Jaded Hearts, and when I brought these sequins out and started putting them in the middle, it just kind of did something to make them come to life. And I ended up using the 3 different colors that come in the Jaded Hearts collection. And that is like the Kelly green. So that Kelly green is the same color as the watering can that Abby is holding. And then there's a yellow and a really pretty like pink little flower sequin. And I ended up using all of those colors and then kind of scattering them throughout that negative space. And I just really love that sequin mix. It's so, my favorite color right now is that Kelly green, and it's just so pretty. It adds that perfect special touch. And I often am wondering now, what did I do before I had sequins? because it feels like every time that I go to do a layout that something's missing and I hadn't put sequins on it yet. And once I do that, it makes it totally come to life. So these are some Hip Kit Club exclusive ephemera pieces from the from the May Hip Kit. And I'm going to just kind of tuck some of these in. And so I've got a butterfly and I have a little bird. I'm really trying to keep with that gardeny theme. And it's okay if it's popping up. It just adds a little bit more dimension to the layout. And I really like that. And it'll flatten out when I put it in a page protector, but I'm okay with that as well. And I just really liked how nestling those embellishments into the flowers and made them look like they belonged in there. And it also kind of drew the eye around the page, whereas with just the flowers, you just had the flowers. You didn't have any added interest. So I'm going to use this Happy Life Gold scripty sticker from the Chamel sticker sheet. This is her latest collection. And I loved that little accent of gold. I had gold in the bird. There was that same color gold in the butterfly. And then I put another little gold flower to the right. So I'm trying to make that movement around the page. I thought about using this little banner, which went great, except, and it would have been fine there, except I really wanted that background layer, fabric layer that I put down to peek through, and it didn't really peek through very much in any of the other spots. So that ends up going back, and I'm okay with that. But just to fill up some of that awkward space below the tulips, I added some more flowers and another sequin. I thought about bringing out these puffy stickers from Freckled Fawn that are gold, but the gold was the wrong color. I'm having a hard time using these just because they're a yellow gold, and everything else that's out right now is more of a champagne gold or like a matte gold. Definitely not as yellow. I wanted to bring in some of these Pink Fresh Studio chipboard stickers, and I ended up bringing in a few. That chipboard heart, these are like 3-dimensional chipboards, which are really cool. I love them, and I've almost used up the full sheet. I might have to order more because I really like these. I've said before, I love the pastel colors with those pops of primary colors. To me, it's just pure yumminess. So I'm trying to find where I'm going to put this little chipboard piece. And I think that top left corner just needed a little bit of something extra, and the bottom right corner needed a little bit of something extra. And those are great spots to just add a little something extra because you'll be able to see it without being cluttered with the flowers. I also added in some of these Chamel wood buttons. I added 3 of them in, and I'm just going to play around with the placement. Those, to me, worked really well in this layout because it was like a sneaky, it blended so well with the flowers. It was like a sneaky surprise. And I really like those kinds of little surprises when you're really looking in on something and then find a happy thing. So I'm going to decide that I like the button down there, but then it felt like it needed something else. So I'll end up bringing back in one of my DIY small flowers, the petal flowers that I made. But I'm going to go through and see what else I like first. And then I thought, well, maybe one of these larger petal flowers would work. And it did. And I really liked that. And then I popped the little button right down in the center. Perfect little sneaky surprise. So I hope that you're getting a chance to play along with all of the amazing challenges that were done for you for National Scrapbooking Day weekend. If you get a chance to participate in the challenges, make sure to hashtag on Instagram so that we can see what you created, because we'd love to see that. For Spiegel Mom Scraps, it's hashtag SMS NSD17, and then Wild Whisper is hashtag WWINSD17. So I'm kind of going through and seeing what else might be used in this layout. I know it's already got a ton going on, but more is more, right? I mean, you can always go more. So I found this little tag piece from the Hip Kit Club exclusive ephemera pack, and I loved how it just gave enough of a breakup between the photos that it didn't distract from one photo, but you were definitely able to individually see each 3 of the pictures. And then I'm going to journal down here with my Uniball Signo white gel pen. And I put, spring has sprung after such a long winter. We're finally getting some blooms. And now I'm going to take some gold Heidi Swap Color Shine and sprinkle that around all of the flower clusters to just give it a little bit more pop of interest and some shine, because how can you go wrong with gold Heidi Shine? And that's going to be it for my layout today, guys. Thanks so much for joining in. I hope that you liked the layout. If you did, give us a thumbs up and make sure to subscribe so you get some more amazing ideas from all of the design team members for Spiegel Mom Scraps. They have such amazing talent, and I'm so lucky to be a part of this team. And make sure to use my code Mary15 at the Spiegel Mom Scraps shops. We have some amazing new releases coming out, so you won't want to miss that. And follow on Instagram. I'll put all of the information down below. All right, sparklers, you have a fabulous Friday, and I will see you next time. Bye.